Hello and howdy, everyone. Here to talk about the newest and possibly last Hayao Miyazaki film, The Wind Rises. It was good. I consider Hayao Miyazaki to be the greatest living director, filmmaker, at least in a nose-to-nose race with Martin Scorsese. Tends to be whoever's film I watched last is the greatest living director. So Hayao Miyazaki is the greatest living director. I'm going to give it an 8. I don't think it's A+ Miyazaki, but I don't think Miyazaki makes bad films. Even lesser Miyazaki is better than, most films. It definitely wasn't my favorite, but I still have a great amount of love for it. It's still absolutely beautiful. Again, very well directed. I just thought it kind of was searching for a tone in a way. I think there was many different types of, or different threads of a message, and they never fully came together for me. This was probably the first time outside of watching perhaps Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind, where I was slightly bored with watching a Miyazaki film. I would definitely say that this is his most serious, most melodramatic film since Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind. It's basically the story of one man's life, and not his full life up to a certain point. I'd say perhaps after he paints his masterpiece, it pretty much ends. I'm trying to remember his last name. It was Jiro. It's a true story. A true story of Jiro. Oh, he was an aeronautical engineer, famous or perhaps infamous for designing the Japanese fighter plane, the Zero, that was used heavily in World War II. I believe at the bombing of Pearl Harbor, and as well as the infamous kamikaze attacks that would come later. He invented that plane. And it's basically his life story up to the creation of his great design. It is very slow. It takes its time. Again, this is the story of a man's life. It only takes brief forays into fantasy, basically when he's dreaming and being inspired by his hero. It does have flights of fancy, as they say. I would say, again, I don't want to be disappointed, but that's the element that bummed me out, is I wanted, Miyazaki to really, as he does, indulge in fantasy. I guess I'd like to say that no matter what negative things I have to say about the film, God, I don't even like using the word negative. I just want to say the things the things that I say that aren't glowingly positive. I really admire, and you must admire, a filmmaker's right to take risk and to stretch beyond what he has done before. I would say, without a doubt, in many ways, this is a film like Miyazaki has never made before. Again, it's far more concerned with the detail of period life, bringing the history to life, through his storytelling. It also is a examination of a man's life, and so it's very different from anything he's ever done. And that's why I have to respect it more than anything, is because here, for perhaps his last film, Miyazaki decides to do something that he's never done before and make something in the real world and about the real world. It's also a film, its theme, at least its prominent theme to me, was of letting go. And I thought, I certainly don't want this to be Miyazaki's last film. Not by any stretch of the imagination should he stop working. For me, I think he should just go until he, is done, physically done. That's how much I love him, is I want his blood, up there on the screen. And here, he's taking a risk, doing something he hasn't really done. Oh, I was talking about the themes. The major theme that I got was of letting go. And here is a director looking at retirement. I believe he's in his early 70s, which again, I think, Sidney Lumet worked up to damn near 90. Again, and until he died, I think he was just like working on a film when he passed away, which, I think Miyazaki will end up doing, because, gosh, I don't see how you can make brilliant work for all of your life and, have the world respect you and then to walk away from that and never, at least go back into the studio for a little bit, but perhaps he will. So it's about letting go, and I think it's kind of Miyazaki coming face to face with retirement, with his desire to not work anymore. So he has to let go of his own career and call it a day and leave it to the new generation. It's also, kind of a message to his audience. It's time to let go. It's time to move on. So I found it kind of very apropos. I'd always kind of heard that his last film, or this film, was supposed to be a sequel to, I believe, his best film, my favorite film of his, Porco Rosso. And I could see where he could have started writing a Porco Rosso story and eventually just said, okay, I'll scrap that idea and make it about, the true Porco Rosso. And so this may, even though I would love to see whatever he had in mind for Porco Rosso, I suppose this could be his last film. Because it definitely seemed, maybe he's just a little bit bored. Maybe he's not sure where to go. I don't know. The film still looked beautiful. The animation, all hand-drawn, is absolutely gorgeous. I would, hazard to say probably the best in the world. It's really unlike Miyazaki's other films, is in the fact that it's a lot more straightforward in terms of directing. There's not as many quick movements. There's not as many stylish, panoramic, tracking shots where you get to see all these amazing characters. It's very just kind of broad and shows big, panoramic shots, and it's his style is taken down many notches. Again, I think that's to ground the story in a realism and to get that realism across. But there's only one defining thing that Miyazaki does, is I really don't have any other way to describe it, but everything on the screen is in motion, and it just comes out of nowhere. And that is here at least a few times. But boy, it's not enough. And actually, it's used to tremendous effect, and mostly in order to depict an earthquake. A terrible earthquake destroys Tokyo, and that depiction of the earthquake, as it should be, comes out of nowhere. You're in no way prepared for it, and it's just absolutely gorgeous. It's absolutely gorgeous for being such a horrifying event. Death is a big theme of the film as well. Basically letting go and death and letting go, are the two, big themes I took away, which again, death and letting go is something that, the normal human does not want to face and think about. And this film confronts you with those inevitable truths, and, you're forced to sit with it. That's something that doesn't give you a lot of pleasure. Usually I walk out of a Miyazaki film and, I feel like I've fallen in love, or been taken, away to some fantasy land that I'll never be able to experience in real life, and now I've got to, now I'm back out in the real world, but you realize how immersed you got into that world that he created. Here it's, going to watch the story of a man who, he meets a woman at a young age. Over time, they grow friendly and actually right away get married. They get married, so he finds the love of his life. I don't feel it's a spoiler because it's pretty much a part of the story from the beginning, but she has tuberculosis. The film also deals with the tuberculosis epidemic that spread across Japan. He loses his wife. He loses his wife, his true love. So that's pretty much what the film builds to, is kind of a tragedy. The film is, in a way, it's a tragedy, because he lives his life, he struggles for his life to lose his true love, and to watch his most beautiful, most elegant design, his masterpiece of flight, turned into a weapon of war and death. And now he has to, live with that. The fact that he created something beautiful, and that the Empire of Japan will use that, gorgeous creation to bring death upon the world. And that's the end of the film. It's like, all right, good, have a good day. So it's just so unlike anything Miyazaki's ever done, which is the challenging part. And it's also the part where I have immense respect for the artist. Why can't someone who's conquered a genre do whatever he wants? And if he wants to make a period drama about the tragedy of life, then so be it. He's never done that before. So here we have an artist at the peak of his powers, at the end of his game, as I suppose it is, above the age of 70, doing something he's never done before, writing in a way he's never written before, and trying to express a tone that is, well, a kind of an endurance test. You don't want to be subjugated to saying, hey, sure, life is beautiful, but, it's all going to go away. It's all going to end. And, again, trying to make that tone accessible, and say, hey, you're going to have to sit here for 2+ hours. The film is, I believe, 2 hours and 10 minutes. It does feel a little bit long. I think other than, again, Nausicaa, I'd say it was the only time I was watching a Miyazaki film and thought, wow, this is long. Again, that span of time really got to me, where usually even Spirited Away, which again I believe is about 2 hours and 10 minutes, feels, light and breezy and over before you know it. That is not the case here with The Wind Rises. I fully plan on seeing this again, expect to see it again. This was done so it could have an Oscar nomination for this year, the year of his retirement. This was in the original Japanese. It was only playing on one screen in Los Angeles. And I made the pilgrimage to go see it because, again, I feel like I'm an ultimate fan. This is, I think, the third film I've seen in the original Japanese from Miyazaki, and the first I've seen like a first run film on a double feature, midnight special. I saw Spirited Away in the original Japanese, as well as my favorite Porco Rosso in the original Japanese. That's my only experience with and now The Wind Rises in original Japanese. That's my sole experience with the Miyazaki in original Japanese. The voices, the acting was good. I thought at first the voice choice for the main character of Jiro was a little odd. He sounded too old for me to look so young. Again, these are, patented Miyazaki characters. I gotta remember that I want to say that. But now I can't remember what I was going to say. The voice was just a little odd for someone to look so young to sound so old. I thought that was odd. I will definitely see this film again after Disney gets its hands on it. I'm sure it'll take, up to 6 months for them to redo everything. I fully believe that Disney will re-release this with their, they've always paid great attention to casting, so I think that they'll do a good job casting it, and I'll definitely go see it again with the English translation. When watching a film with subtitles, and that's why I've never preferred to watch animation with subtitles, is because you have to sometimes pick between reading and watching the frame. What's going on, paying attention to the composition of the shot, watching the acting, whatnot, or read what's going on. I mostly paid attention to the screen because how could you not with Miyazaki? So sometimes I didn't read the subtitles, just relying on my intellect to carry me through the story. But, then again, I'd be reading the subtitles for a while and felt that I missed something, up on the screen. So I, can't wait for the Disney version. I can't believe I'm saying that. I can't wait for the Disney version so I can, have that English translation, that, good English translation, and, the good American cast, so I can just listen and watch that gorgeous animation. So I definitely will see it again. That says something, I think. I think I've said... speaking of character design, this is how different of a film from all the rest of Miyazaki's work is. And I'm sure that this doesn't hit through every film. Now that I'm trying to think about it, I can't think of one in My Neighbor Totoro. There are no pigs in this movie. There's not one pig to be seen. Ever. Like on a farm or anything. There's never one pig. And I think that's pretty much the first thing I think of when I think of Miyazaki, is there's going to be a pig in there somewhere doing something weird, or, just be a part of the story somehow. There isn't one pig to be seen. So that's how different of a Miyazaki film this is. There are no pigs. And it just definitely doesn't, have anything that we associate with Miyazaki. That I personally, love him for. None of that is really here. But again, I see that as a great challenge. And as, why can't I make a movie like this? Do I have to do what my fans say? And no. he doesn't. He just has to follow his intuition and his heart. And that's the story he wanted to tell here. So I think it's, ultimately satisfying because it's an expression of strength from an artist, and a risky move. It's a risky move to make your last film, apparently, be incredibly different from the rest of your work. So yeah, I think it's tremendous in its own way. Definitely, serves to highlight that, hey, this is one of our great filmmakers that the greatest filmmakers we've ever seen. The film got applause at the end. It was a nearly sold out crowd. Again, this was only playing on one screen in all of Los Angeles. I managed to make it down for an afternoon matinee because they close the freeways down at night. It's a terrible nightmare, so you can't go to movies at night if you live in the valley and you need to go down south, over the hill, as they say. So I went down in the afternoon, and even at a 2 o'clock show, damn near sold out. I mean, there was this empty seat next to me, but most seats were filled in a large theater, and everyone pretty much stayed till the end of the credits. I think that says something. The film also got applause at the end, from a full house. I would call the applause more respectful than enthusiastic. This wasn't, fade to black, crowd goes nuts. This wasn't that. It was kind of fade to black, the credits come up, start to roll, and then, someone starts to clap, and then everyone claps. It was just, again, the acknowledgement of, a great master's career. I guess that's pretty much all I want to say about it. I think I've hit all my major points. Again, I can't wait to see it again, just so I can get that English translation, and again pay more attention to the unparalleled animation. No one makes films like Studio Ghibli does, and specifically Miyazaki. No one makes films. That's why it's just such a, there's going to be a vacuum of talent, now that he's not going to make films, which I can't see as possible. He's got to keep going, he's got to keep going. I hope he does. So yeah, okay, I'll wrap it up there. That's Hayao Miyazaki's final work, The Wind Rises. I give it a solid 8. Thanks much.